Rab explains it all. Math, chem, physics never fall. Subscribe and learn. Ace every test, so Rab explains it best.
Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to this video and welcome to my channel. In this video we are going to learn how to calculate mass or volume when the density is given. I have already taught you how to calculate density when you have mass and volume, and I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I'm going to put the link of that video in the description. Okay, without wasting any more time, let's jump into today's lesson. The formula that we have for calculating density is rho, which stands for density, is equal to mass over volume. I expect you to memorize this formula, so you must keep this formula in your mind. But the question is not supposed to ask you all the time calculate density and you have mass and volume and simply divide them. Sometimes the question, for example, is going to give you density and volume and it says what is the mass. Or it's going to give you mass and density and it's going to ask you what is the volume. Okay, in that case, what should you do? The only thing that you need to do is rewriting the formula or rearranging the formula, or something which we call it in math, changing the subject of the formula. Okay, for that purpose, what should we do? There are two methods. I'm going to present two methods and it's totally up to you which method are you going to choose. But I personally prefer the first method for finding other formulas. The first method that we are going to use is something which we call it cross products of proportions. The only thing that you need to do is give a denominator of 1 to the row. Okay, now we have a proportion that they are equal to each other. Okay, the only thing that we need to do is cross product. What does it mean, cross product? It means you are allowed to multiply diagonally one numerator to other denominator and vice versa. So if I do that, what am I going to have? I'm going to have rho times V is equal to M times 1. Okay, if I do this multiplication, I'm going to have, and I'm going to flip the sides of the equation, M is equal to rho times V. This is the first formula that we need for calculating M. Okay, what should I do if I want to find the value of volume? In that case, let me rewrite the main formula again. Rho is equal to M over V. We know that we can change the place of parameters diagonally. So I can change the place of these two. And what am I going to have? I'm going to have V is equal to M over rho. This is the second formula that I'm going to use for calculating the value of volume. Okay, let me erase the board to present the second method. The second method of finding other formulas is getting help from this triangle. You must be able to form this triangle because M is in the numerator. I'm going to put it at the top, and rho and V, which are other terms, are going to be at the bottom. This line here is going to work like a fraction line, and this line, this vertical line, is going to work as multiplication. Okay, assume that I want to calculate volume. So I'm going to write V. Okay, what do I have? I have M at the top. Then I'm going to have a fraction line. You can see it here. And I have rho. So the formula is going to be M over rho. Assume that I want to calculate the value of M. So I'm going to write M is equal to, as you can see, these two terms are multiplying by each other because this vertical line works like multiplication sign. So I'm going to have rho times V. Really easy. It's totally up to you which method are you going to use for finding other formulas. But at the end, you must be able to use these three formulas that you can see on the board. Okay, I know that at the beginning you may think it is really difficult and challenging, but I'm gonna tell you that it is not. And we are going to learn that through examples as always. Look at the first example. We have the density of the wood. Rho is equal to 0.5 gram per cubic centimeter. I strongly suggest you to write it like that, okay? It's not gonna hurt you. And I have the mass. Oh, I'm sorry, I do not have the mass. What is the mass? So M is equal to question mark, and I have the volume. How can I realize that this value is showing the volume? Because of the unit. So V is equal to 10 cubic centimeters. What was the formula for calculating the mass? M is equal to rho times V. Do I have rho? Yes, as you can see, it is 0.5. And pay attention, units are corresponding. Here I have gram per cubic centimeter, and here I have cubic centimeter. So unit conversion is not needed in this example. 0.5 times volume, which is 10, and it's gonna be 5. And what is the unit of this 5? Because I have this one based on gram per cubic centimeter and that one based on cubic centimeter, and I'm calculating the mass. This one is going to be gram. Really easy. Look at the next example. I have density of gold. I'm going to write the information here, and I strongly suggest you to do exactly like me. And we have the mass, which is 95 gram. M is equal to 95 gram. The question expects us to calculate the volume. Okay, I'm gonna make the volume subject of the formula. How am I supposed to do that? As I told you, V is equal to M over rho. Units are corresponding to each other because I have gram per cubic centimeters and I have gram here. So I'm gonna write M is 95 and rho is 19. And if I do this division, and I expect you to be able to do that, the answer is gonna be 5. And because I'm calculating volume and this one is based on gram per cubic centimeter, this one is gonna be cubic centimeter. Really easy. Look at the next example. I have the volume. So V is equal to 5 cubic meters. And I have density rho. This time is based on kilogram per cubic meter. Kilogram per cubic meter. And the question expects us to calculate mass. What is the mass? So M is equal to question mark. Which formula should I use? Because I need to calculate the value of M. I need to write M is equal to rho times V. Units are corresponding by each other because I have this one based on cubic meter and this one kilogram per cubic meter. So rho is 3000 times 5. It's gonna be 15, 3 zeros, 15,000. Because this one here I have kilogram per cubic meter and the other one is cubic meter, the unit of mass is gonna be kilogram. Let's solve this one. What is the mass? Look, again it's asking about the mass. In a room measuring, I have the dimensions of the room. If the density of the air, I have the density rho is equal to 1.3 kilogram per cubic meter. Do I have volume? No, in this case I do not have volume. The question didn't give me the volume of the room directly, but it gave me the dimensions of the room. Pay attention. I'm gonna draw the room for you. It's gonna be a cuboid, and of course the scale is not correct. For example, the length is 10 meters, the width is 5 meters, and the height is 2 meters. I do not have the volume, but I have the dimensions and I can easily calculate the volume of this object, of this room. Volume is gonna be length times width times height. This is the formula that I use for calculating the volume of cuboids. So volume is gonna be 10 times 5 times 2, which is gonna be 100 because I have all the dimensions based on meter. This is gonna be cubic meter, and units are corresponding. Now I have density or rho and I have volume. Which formula should I use? M is equal to rho times V. Do I have rho? Yes, it is 1.3 times 100. The answer is gonna be, I expect you to know how to do this multiplication, the answer is gonna be 130. And because I have density based on kilogram per cubic meter, volume based on cubic meter, the answer is gonna be based on kilogram. Let's solve the next example. In this example, I have a stone or whatever. It has irregular shape. I have density, volume, and the question expects me to calculate mass. Again, M is equal to rho times V. Do I have rho? Yes, it is 5 gram per cubic centimeter. Do I have V? Yes, it is 25. Units are corresponding. It's going to be 125 because this one is based on gram per cubic centimeter and the other one is based on cubic centimeter. What am I going to have for mass? I'm going to have 125 gram. Look at the next example. It's exactly like the previous one. I have the density of this object. And the question is asking about the mass. But do I have the volume? No, but I have the dimensions. And I have a cuboid here. So as long as I have a cuboid, I can easily find the volume by using the formula L times height times width. In this example, it's going to be 10 times 3 times 6. It's going to be 180 because all of them are based on centimeter. This is going to be cubic centimeter. Okay, let's go for finding the mass. M is equal to rho times V. Units are corresponding. 7 times 180. Here I have a cylinder and the question expects me to find the volume. I have mass and I have density. Really easy. The only thing that I need to do is applying this formula. M over rho. Units are corresponding. So M is 100 and rho is 5. It's going to be 20. And because I have gram here and here I have gram per cubic centimeter, V is going to be 20 cubic centimeters. Here I have a sphere. I have the diameter and I have the density, and the question expects me to calculate mass. As I told you before, for calculating the mass, I'm going to use the formula rho times V. Do I have rho? Yes, I have rho. It is 4 gram per cubic centimeter. Do I have volume? No. I need to calculate that. What was the formula for calculating the volume of a sphere? It was 4 over 3 times pi times r to the power of 3. Do I have the value of r? No, I do not have. I have diameter here. Should I rewrite the formula based on diameter? Yes, you can do that if you have a lot of time, but I'm not going to do that because it's going to be time consuming. So what am I going to do instead? I'm going to divide the diameter by 2 to find the radius. It's going to be 2 centimeters, and this is the radius. So let's replace the values. 4 over 3, the question says I can use pi as 3, and I have radius here, 2 to the power of 3. This is going to be 8. These two are going to cancel each other out. I'm going to have 32 cubic centimeter because I have diameter based on centimeter. Now I have volume and I have density. So M is going to be rho times V. Units are corresponding. 4 times 32, it's going to be 128. And you know that the unit is going to be gram. Here I have a cone. I have density of this one. I do not have the mass, and the question says you can use pi is equal to 3. What is the formula for calculating the mass? I'm going to use rho times V. Do I have rho? Yes, it is 5,000 kilogram per cubic meters. Do I have volume? No, but I can find the volume because I have the dimension. What was the volume of the coin? Well, I'm sorry, cone. V is equal to 1 over 3 times pi times r to the power of 2 times h. Okay, let's replace the values. 1 over 3. The question says we can assume pi is equal to 3 times 3. Do I have radius? Yes, this is 1. 1 to the power of 2, and h is 2. These two are going to cancel each other out. 1 to the power of 2 is going to be 1. 1 times 2 is gonna be 2 because I have these dimensions based on meter. This is gonna be cubic meters. Now let's find the value of mass. M is equal to rho times V, and I have both of these parameters. 5,000 times 2 units are corresponding. It's gonna be 10,000. And the unit is gonna be kilogram in this case because I'm finding the mass. And here I have density based on kilogram per cubic meter. Really easy. Here you have 2 more examples, and I strongly suggest you to solve them at home. If you have any question or if you wanted to share your answer, please feel free and write it in the comment box. I will try to answer them as soon as it was possible for me. Thank you for watching this video.